Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. A lot of people have been asking me, Az, what's your opinion? Come on dude, you got to give us your opinion about this. Because when I found out a few days ago that Robert Pattinson has essentially, he hasn't 100% got the role, but it looks like he's been offered it. He's been offered the role and the contracts are on the table and they've got to negotiate the contracts. And if they're happy, the contract gets signed, he's confirmed. And if negotiations fall through, then they've got, who have they got? Mr. Anholt or whatever, in backup, just in case. So they do have a backup choice, just in case. But this looks like who Matt Reeves wants to be Batman / Bruce Wayne in the 2021 The Batman film. And because I've had so many people say, come on, you got to give us your opinion. You got to give us your opinion. With all the Batgirls, Batwoman stuff, Batwoman, SJW Whammon stuff that's been going on, let's just carry on the superhero vibe for a little bit, shall we? And so I want to kind of almost apologise. I kind of almost want to apologise, really, to Robert for this one. My first impression, I tweeted out something along the lines of, oh God, Sparkle Vampires Batman. That's it. I'm done with the world. Because my only dealings with Robert Pattinson is the Twilight films. Now, shock horror, you might not believe this, but I've never watched the Twilight films. What a surprise. They weren't my cup of tea. They call them YA films, young adult films, but they're not. They're for horny teenage girls, you know, who are just starting to get a bit of a burning down below. That's all they're really there for. And so it doesn't really appeal to boys, and it doesn't really appeal to anyone above the age of 14. But hey, that doesn't mean it's wrong or bad. It's a demographic. It's a demographic that it's targeted towards. Not my cup of tea. Look like a mitigated garbage. And it's a hard pass. It's a hard pass. So other than that, I've not followed Robert's career at all. I did hear that he was actually meant to be very good in, what was it called, Cosmopolis or something. Here we go, Cosmopolis. Wow, I'm good, me. He did actually put in a good performance in Cosmopolis, and from what I believe, he actually has had quite a bit of praise as regards to his acting talent after the Twilight series has rounded up. And I know that he's even been very self-deprecating for those films, but also deprecating of the films themselves. I think he realised that they were a means to an end. And other than, you know, I think he's quite happy to have been out of those contracted movies and whatnot. Which I think there were like loads of. Didn't they just like release one a year for like 15 years or something? There was a lot of them, I think. Like 5 or 6 of the damn things. It was, oh God, the thought of watching them just makes me want to puke. And so, yeah, my first impression was just like, oh, Jesus Christ, you know, fuck, you know. And then some people were tweeting me and they're saying, look, you should actually see some of his stuff. You should actually see some of his new stuff because it's actually pretty good, and he's got some good acting chops on him. And this is why I say to myself, I probably need to apologise, because, you know, it was, 10, 11 years ago, probably 12 years ago, when they announced the casting of Heath Ledger as the Joker for The Dark Knight. And Heath Ledger, I think, was 26 at the time of the announcement. And he was only known for like chick flicks and teen movies. 10 Things I Hate About You, which I actually quite like, but thankfully I'm not going to admit to that. Which I also starred Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who went on to appear, of course, in Dark Knight Rises. And so when it was announced that Heath Ledger was going to play the Joker, I was just like, are you kidding me? But the only thing that kept me sane was the fact that it was Christopher Nolan that cast him. Because I had a great deal of trust and faith in Christopher Nolan. First of all, I'd watched a couple of his previous movies before he even did Batman Begins. Insomnia, I loved Insomnia. I thought it was such a haunting film with an amazing performance by Robin Williams. Ooh, good Good grief. But yeah, when he did Batman Begins, I was just like, wow. You know, the casting was absolutely spot on. Everyone that got cast in their roles was really good. I don't know why Katie Holmes got so much shit. I actually thought she was all right, but yeah, she got a lot of shit. I don't know, maybe it was Tom was getting the Scientology crew round when they were filming. And it's pissing everyone off. Oh, just get rid of Katie. Come on, just get rid of her. But Christian Bale was a phenomenal Bruce Wayne. And a really good Batman, but it's very difficult to be a good Batman because Batman's such a stoic character. How do you portray the emotion? Well, it really comes out when you're doing your Bruce Wayne scenes, or the mask's off and there's a little bit more humanity there. So it's very difficult to actually be a good Batman. But Christian Bale, I mean, my God, he nailed it as best anyone could, I believe. And so I was just like, I don't think it's a good choice of the Joker, but in Chris we trust. And obviously we know what happened. Chris nailed it with the casting, and Heath Ledger just annihilated the role. The Dark Knight was the Joker's film. Every scene he stole. He was both funny and maniacal at the same time. And it just... Every time he was on the screen, you were captivated by the performance. You're absolutely captivated by it. And so I don't think it was just a token gesture that he was awarded the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor posthumously, because unfortunately, of course, he passed away from an accidental overdose before the film even came out. I think it was a thoroughly deserved and earned award. And even when Anne Hathaway was announced as Catwoman, I was kind of like, there's a lot better choices that I could have thought of. But again, she did a decent job. You know, I thought she did a decent job and she fit into that universe pretty well. And so the moral for me was the fact that don't judge a book by its cover. Yeah, sure. At first glance, I'm not saying that I'm jumping for joy here at all. But, you can look at some more... modern images of him, where he's got a bit more of a normal hairdo. When I say normal hairdo, you know what I mean, because he's not got his hair everywhere trying to be edgy, sparkle vampire man. But you kind of like, can you see Bruce Wayne out of that? And he's sort of like, yeah, I mean, obviously it's much more than just a look. It's much more than just a look, but he's sort of like, yeah, I can kind of see that. And he does have a lot of off-screen charisma, and if he brings that off-screen charisma to the performance, then sure, maybe he can actually pull it off. Maybe he will actually be a decent Bruce Wayne / Batman. Can you see it? Can you? Might be quite difficult for some of us. I thoroughly admit that. So, yeah, I think it's about giving him the benefit of the doubt. But whereas it was with Chris Nolan I trust when it came to Heath Ledger, when it comes to Matt Reeves, I'm not, I don't hold him in any regard that I do Christopher Nolan. When you look at his body of work, I thought the first Planet of the Apes film was pretty good, but I wasn't massively enamored with the others. I didn't think much to Cloverfield. Let Me In, So there's not that body of work that I can sort of feel comfortable with, like I did with Christopher Nolan. And that's sort of what's holding me back in regards to believing that this is some good casting. The role is there to be grabbed by the horns. I mean, this is a wonderful character. And if the script for the film is up to snuff, then sure, he could do something. I personally, this is just my own personal opinion, I think the next Batman trilogy should have been the Nightfall saga. I think it should have been the Nightfall saga. I think the first film should have been about Bruce Wayne meeting up with the assassin Azrael, fighting Azrael. Have Azrael as the villain, so to speak, of the first film. And then we obviously realised what happened to Azrael, and we fight Carlton Layhat or whatever at the end of the first film. And then you have the notion that Bane has been watching all along. And then the second film, you have the destruction of Arkham Asylum. You have the destruction of Arkham Asylum and the villains being released. And then you have Batman rounding up the villains in what would be an absolutely explosive, action-packed second film. And then you'd have, halfway through, you'd have him broken by Bane. When he's kind of like coming towards the end of his tether, you'd have him broken by Bane. And then the second half of the film, you've got Azrael taking over as Batman and becoming darker and darker, changing the costume. And at the end of the first film, we're in the Nightfall costume for Azrael, and he defeats Bane. And then we have the third film that he's just... we start the third film off in the end version of the Nightfall costume, where he's literally just murdering criminals now instead of bringing them in. Bruce Wayne's got his back healed, whatever storyline they decide to do for that one, because it's essentially magic in the comics. But whatever they do for that in the third film, and then you have Bruce Wayne coming back to fight Batman. So you got Batman versus Batman to end the trilogy. So I think that's where they should have gone. I think enough time would have elapsed that Bane, people wouldn't be referring back to the Dark Knight Rises Bane. You could have a much more closer to the comics Bane, much bigger, proper Bane mask on, and go down that route. I think that would have been pretty damn funky as a trilogy. I don't think that's what they're going to do. If they go back through another origin, I think it's going to be a bad move. A very bad move. And if they keep it in the current continuity of the DCU, I think that's going to be a bad move as well. So I don't have the faith in Matt Reeves that I do in Christopher Nolan by any stretch. So I can't fully commit myself to the casting of Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson, he can surprise everyone here. He really could surprise everyone here. Or we could have all our fears realised. So it's a real dodgy one, this. I'm going to try and keep my fingers crossed until some of the story beats come out, because we don't even know where the film's going to go. But I think this whole thing is a bit of a mess. Why it's taken Matt Reeves so long to get to the position that we're in now worries me a lot. But let me know what you guys and gals think in the comment section down below. Hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links are in the description box down below, and I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care. Be seeing you.